two things. There's salary sacrificing and there's salary packaging. So salary sacrificing only relates to superannuation. So you can only salary sacrifice into superannuation.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
Salary sacrificing means you put your money in pre-tax. So because you have a government job, and actually it's probably a little bit different now, but anyone can put money in pre-tax. So you can say to your employer, instead of giving me the money, so when you get your money from your employer, you get it, they withhold tax on it, they send it to the ATO, and then they give you the after-tax money, puts into your bank account. So you get after-tax wages. They send the money to the ATO. That's how it works. So if you said, I want a salary sacrifice, it means take the money that you're going to pay me as a wage, instead of sending it to me and withholding tax, send it straight to my superannuation account without taking tax on it.
Yeah. So then your taxable income becomes less.
Yep.
And therefore you would pay less tax.
Because you're getting paid less.
Welcome to More Than Money with your host, Ross Marais. This episode of More Than Money is brought to you by More Time Financial, a financial planning company who are on a mission to help young Australians make smarter decisions with money by providing real-life financial advice, coaching, and financial education.
Hey, what's up? It's Ross Marais. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Money. On this podcast, I have real conversations about lifestyle, money, and business. Sometimes I share interviews with business owners and entrepreneurs about starting their own business and their journey. Other times we do financial education and informational episodes to help you make smarter decisions with money, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, before we get started on today's episode, this is just a friendly reminder in order to keep our lawyers happy that in preparing this podcast, myself and any contributors have not taken into account any particular person's objectives, financial situation, or needs. So before acting on any of this information, you should consider its relevance to your personal circumstances, and if required, seek the assistance of a licensed professional. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Money. In today's episode, I have a bit of a different style of podcast episode for you. One which, depending on the feedback from you, the listeners, may or may not be a regular segment on the show going forward. So in my ongoing mission to help educate people about money, as well as to help remove some of the stigma that comes from money in general, but in particular talking about money, I thought it was a good idea to get a couple of my friends together for my first Money Chats with Mates episode. So obviously being in the job and running the business that I do as a financial advisor, I get asked about money every single day, whether that's from clients, from friends, family, whoever it is. And as you'll hear throughout this episode, I've got a couple of my mates together, so Will, Kyle, and Michael, or Burjo to us, to record an episode to answer some of the questions, some of their money questions, as well as to discuss some of the important topics that our generation have either experienced or probably soon be experiencing, including purchasing your first home, getting married, and having children, as well as some of the do's and don'ts that come with dealing with your friends and money, including what you should do if you ever find yourself in the middle of a shout but need to leave the bar, as well as what's a reasonable amount of money to give as a gift, whether that's for an engagement party, a wedding, or a birthday. So one last thing before we jump into today's episode. When my mates heard that I would be filming this podcast, they decided it was a good idea to get dressed up for the occasion, and even decided to give me a very questionable shirt to wear throughout the episode. So if you're wanting the full experience of the podcast, be sure to head over to YouTube where you can watch the entire video and check out some very, very questionable outfits and cowboy hats. Hope you enjoy the show. Money questions from you guys. Any initial questions off the top of your head?
The whole cryptocurrency.
Lean to the microphone.
Still.
Editor's going to have a field day with this.
It must be nice having your own editor.
Hence why I keep doing it. Cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Yay or nay? What is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
So how long we got?
More time than anyone else?
My knowledge on it is limited. I'll give you that much. But my understanding is that it's just the same as a normal currency. It's just digital. So the currency that we use every day for money and changing money and exchanging things, it's the exact same thing. So it's just like we put $10 note. We say it's worth $10. cryptocurrency, they're saying one Bitcoin is worth whatever it is today, $50,000.
But what determines the price of Bitcoin?
Yeah,
Why does it go up and down?
it
How
when
does
it's
it
not
go up and
going?
down?
It's
Why
not-
does it go up and down?
No one's using it.
Just
No one's
becomes
buying
rare.
a car with it, and then the
Bitcoin's
car's
rarer.
going down in value. And
It's the exact same reason why house prices in Palm Beach and Illinois and around
Demand,
is going up in value.
Demand.
supply, demand.
Because people are willing to pay money for it. They put
Yeah.
value on it. So the people have determined, rightly or wrongly, that a Bitcoin is whatever it's worth today, $50,000 or something.
I think it's gone up to 60.
So, but tell me this: I can't go to Woolies though and buy them groceries with Bitcoin, though, can I?
Not yet.
not because you don't have Bitcoin.
You can start.
That's correct.
You need to borrow some from Bird.
Some
Yeah,
people,
he's got
like
four,
there's
he said.
towns now, like 1770, that's just one of them. They accept cryptocurrency as terms of payment now.
In
And
like a
that's-
resort
that's
or
just
is
Australia.
everywhere in town.
I don't know. It's
So-
just seen on a song.
Saw it on Facebook.
Sounds
This is very much like when he accepts financial advice from his friends and he doesn't know, he just goes for it.
Well, no, it's just literally that they determined that it's worth value.
Yeah.
Someone said it's worth value, just like they're saying your house you bought it 3 years ago was $650,000. Today it's worth $850,000. Has the house changed?
No,
Has anything changed? Like nothing's changed with the house.
Mm.
It's probably gone down in value for anything because the
But
house has
that's-
probably deteriorated.
That's other houses in the area. What I suppose there's other cryptos now. Like,
People have just determined that that's what it's worth. They're saying it's valuable. We think it's going to be valuable in the future. We think it's going to be the way of the future, that everyone in the world is going to be using this currency in the future. So they said we determined that one Bitcoin is worth $56,000.
what happens to the dollar and cents that we use now then in 50 years' time when we're using Bitcoin? No, just
Well, that's the whole argument at the moment. Is saying is it actually going to be the currency of the future, or is it going to be stay as what it is at the moment?
Analog currency.
Analog currency.
Yeah.
Fiat, if you know well.
Hamish and Andy coin.
Yeah.
Speaking of, my second favourite podcast is Hamish and Andy.
After More Than Money.
And they've been looking at what do they call it?
Z Racing.
Yeah, Z Racing, which is a form of what's it called? Like
Ethereum. So they use
Ethereum, which is like Bitcoin.
yeah.
to
So
buy.
they use
But
Ethereum,
what's-
which is a cryptocurrency.
but they're saying that the Z Racing is a form of it's like a acronym, 3-letter acronym.
Blockchain.
No.
Alternative.
love.
Pause. Google.
What are you trying to say?
What do they call that stuff? They're like online things that you can buy that are like shares and stocks.
EFTs.
EFTs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No,
is it?
NFTs.
NFT. What the fuck's an NFT?
EFT's FPOS, isn't it?
Yeah. And you can use that at Woolworths.
No,
What's an
NFTs.
NFT?
NFT is a non-refundable token. So they're saying it's, again, a bit beyond my concept of knowledge, but it basically saying it's some sort of digital asset. So at the moment, if you had Mona Lisa on your wall, people would say that's worth money because it's the actual Mona Lisa. It's the real copy. There's only one. They're saying that's worth whatever, a couple of $1 million.
Yeah.
So they're saying, well, if you had a copy of Mona Lisa, someone's made a digital copy of it, and they're saying this is the first digital copy. They're putting a value on that and saying, okay, now I can buy the original digital copy of the Mona Lisa.
Gotcha.
Therefore, I own it, and anyone else that uses it digitally, they can't because it's mine unless they pay me money.
Gotcha.
So they're saying there's the physical assets, like everything we know, and then there's the actual
So they're just digital
assets.
And it can be anything.
Anything,
Hence
which
the
is-
Z Racing.
Z Racing, they were saying even like, I think they were talking about on Hamish and Andy, the clip of like Michael Jordan scoring his first basket in
That's an NFT now, isn't
NBA. Someone's taken that clip and said, I own that clip. So like,
So I could say I own that still that this camera's taken today.
Yeah.
I own that.
Yeah.
The digital copy of it.
digital copy of it. So because everything's now going digital, they're saying, well, how do they actually determine who owns that digital
Yeah.
asset?
How do you that?
Yeah, property.
Because like if you think of like if NRL, like they record the NRL owns that the video footage of the NRL. So if anyone wants to watch it again, Fox, they'd obviously sell it to Fox and whoever that, or Channel 9, however that works. So they're saying, well, someone owns that.
How do they
They have the copyright for that footage.
How do they say that they have the copyright for it? Like, do you go to someone and say, "Listen, I took a photo of this. We've gone on a
pants on.
a bit of a spiral.
No pants.
Tangent, I get.
Well, no, it's the same thing. It's saying, well, I own it. it's mine. I purchased it.
Is it just your opinion?
I think it's my understanding of it. Again, it's probably wrong, but it's like a copyright. So it's like I purchased it. It's my copyright. I own that now.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Mm.
But yeah, it's it's hard to kind of comprehend all the digital stuff, like the digital assets and the digital currency.
All right, next money question.
Yeah.
He's gambling.
No.
If you had $100, which horse would you bet on?
Which race would you do?
At race out of Sydney, what would you put it on? No. I mean, teacher, obviously, it's a government job. This is something I've spoken to you about previously.
Yeah. Is
salary sacrificing my wage or Elle's wage, because she works for the government as well, we're able to salary sacrifice a car, for example. We're able to salary sacrifice our super.
Yep.
Those sorts of things. Can you explain it? Do you recommend it? Yeah, because we keep, and we have the whole time, we always toss and turn, because we right now need a new car, for example.
Yep.
We need upsize because of growing family.
What are you thinking, Range Rover? Or
Yeah, obviously to go with the second Range Rover.
Yeah.
No, we want to get a 7-seater. So we've looked at cars.
How many kids you having?
Yeah, 7. No, we've looked at
minivan.
I tell you, we've got 2, and you very quickly find that the shit that you need when you leave the house with 2 kids is lots.
You should get a Kia.
Yeah,
Have
thanks.
you seen that?
Which one? There's lots of them. That's a brand.
Just the one.
Kia Rio.
Yeah.
No, the Carnival.
Oh yeah. We've looked at. We've kind of narrowed it down to a few different 7-seaters.
Quick plug there.
Yeah. No, you're not getting a free Kia.
Talking about what car he's going to buy now.
No, I'm just saying we've narrowed it down, right?
Yeah.
But then we're like, well, like you said, do we purchase this outright?
Yeah.
Do we take a loan to purchase it? Do we add money onto our mortgage, use that money to purchase it?
Yep.
Do we salary sacrifice my wage or Elle's wage? Which one would be better? We think Elle makes more money than me somehow. Elle makes more money than me, and we thought, well, do we salary sacrifice her wage, and then will that bring her down a tax bracket, and therefore will she pay less tax? These are all things that we don't know.
Yeah.
And these are all questions that we kind of have over and over, and we don't know what's our best option to purchase this next car. If only we knew a financial advisor.
So, first question: salary sacrifice, or what you should do there. So, or what that is. So, 2 things: there's salary sacrificing and there's salary packaging. So salary sacrificing only relates to superannuation. So you can only salary sacrifice into superannuation.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
Salary sacrificing means you put your money in pre-tax. So because you have a government job, and actually it's probably a little bit different now, but anyone can put money in pre-tax. So you can say to your employer, instead of giving me the money, so when you get your money from your employer, you get it, they withhold tax on it, they send it to the ATO, and then they give you the after-tax money put into your bank account. So you get after-tax wages. They send the money to the ATO. That's how it works. So if you said, I want a salary sacrifice, it means take the money that you're going to pay me as a wage, instead of sending it to me and withholding tax, send it straight to my superannuation account without taking tax on it.
Yeah. So then your taxable income becomes less.
Yep.
And therefore you would pay less tax.
Because you're getting paid less.
Yes.
That looks serious in this shirt. So your wage goes down. Wage goes down because you're getting paid less, but they're sending the money to super rather than putting it into your bank account.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes. Now, what's salary packaging?
Salary packaging is only allowed for government employees. How did you get on this?
Did you have some of Vinny's magic mushroom sauce out there?
It's rich coming from you with your shirt on. So salary packaging is only allowed for, generally speaking, for government employees, so teachers,
nurses, whatever.
All that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So salary packaging, it depends on the government role you're in, but you can salary package a car, you can salary package your mortgage, you can salary package your phone, laptop, all that kind of stuff, depending on what government department you're in. So that all depends, but it's the same concept. Say, okay, we're going to let you pay for something pre-tax, so you're not going to have to withhold tax on it, but you get the benefit of that. So you say, I want to salary package a car. So instead of giving me the 20 grand, taking tax out and giving me the leftovers, so let's say 18 grand, they send 2 grand to the ATO. You can buy a car for 20 grand and not necessarily have to pay tax on the full amount.
And you can do that with your mortgage as well.
Depends what government role you're in. Nurses, no.
Damn it.
Nurses can.
Nurses can.
PG?
It depends. It depends on the government role you're in and the position you're in that company. So
If
it's
she
all
works in a
government.
hospital,
It depends who she's employed by.
Queensland Health.
She potentially. Don't quote me on it. Potentially. Yeah.
I've quoted John.
Quoted. Quoted.
PG if you're listening.
Then the second thing about buying a car, whether you should buy it outright or not. So generally speaking, a car is considered, Kyle will know the answer to this, good or bad debt? Car loan.
Bad debt.
Why?
It depreciates really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you take out a loan to buy something with a loan, if you take out something with a loan to buy something that goes down in value, that's considered generally bad.
Yeah.
So unless you can write that car off on tax, or you can do something which generally speaking 80% of people can't, then you're better off buying it with cash and not have to have a loan on depreciating asset.
It's just with trades like we're in.
Yeah.
So like pretty much the whole car can 100% of it can be written off.
See, that's where it's a bit of a grey area. So generally speaking, for 80% of people that can't write it off on tax, a car is considered a shit debt because it goes down in value. It doesn't earn you any money, and it's not tax deductible. Yeah. But if it's tax deductible, then it kind of floats in a bit of a grey area. But if you can, generally speaking, stay away from car loans, you're going to be better off because you're going to have a loan that's owing. So most people are going to pay it off in the reasonable amount of time. They're going to have a car paid for in the 3 or 5 year period, and it's going to be fine. But for a lot of people, we find that they can, well, not for a lot of people, but for some people, they end up with a car that's worth 15 grand and their car loan's 20 grand on it. Mm. So they've got a car loan that's worth more than the car.
Yeah.
So then if they need to sell it, they're going to be 5 grand short.
Yeah.
So there's a big, I always look at it and say, okay, there's a big difference in people who choose to take a car loan and there's people who need to take a car loan. So you're saying, I have 20 grand in the bank. I could go and buy the car outright today if I wanted to, but I'm choosing to take a loan because I think that's a better financial decision, but I could easily pay it with cash. That's very different from someone, I've got 2 grand in the bank and I need to take a car loan because I want to buy a car for 20 grand. So that's all.
Is the first option okay? I've got the money.
If you've got, then you're choosing not to because you say, okay, well, that 20 grand is sitting in an offset account, so I'm making the financial decision to leave the 20 grand in my offset account.
My mortgage or whatever.
Offsetting my mortgage. So it's like, okay, well, I could buy it with cash, but I'm choosing not to because I'm either investing that money, I'm offsetting it against the mortgage, I'm doing something else with that money.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, what's better, taking a car loan out for 7% or offsetting against the 3% mortgage?
What about, personally speaking, if we were to take money out, we're about to refinance our mortgage because our terms are. If we were to take out money or take money against our mortgage, so borrow more money for our mortgage, and use some of that money to buy a car outright, even though we still have some money in our savings, we can use that in our offset account. Would that be a bad financial decision or not?
It depends what you're going to do with the repayment. So for people that are going to do that, what I'd suggest is to say, okay, what would the car repayments cost you if you weren't using it against a mortgage? So if you said, it's a 5% loan or 7% loan, it would cost you $300 a month or whatever, $300 a week. What I say, if people do that, you're making the smart decision. So you're using the equity in your house to buy a car, which generally speaking is a bad idea.
Yeah.
But if you said, what I would suggest is say, whatever your car loan repayments are going to be, take that amount and add that to your mortgage repayments. Yeah. So it's like, cool, mortgage repayments generally $500 a week. Yeah. A car loan would be $300 a week or $200 a week. Yeah. Make sure you make your home loan repayment $700 a week and get rid of that 20 grand or 30 grand, whatever you're going to spend on the car as quick as possible. So that would be like a smart way to use your money. But for most people, they're like, my mortgage repayments are $500. If I take out equity of 20 grand and buy a car, my mortgage payments go to $550 or something. And then they just stay at the minimum of $550 and they never actually pay off that extra amount. Yeah. So because it's comfortable, they're like, it's $550. Maybe they have another kid. They're like, I can't afford the $700, and they just get comfortable with that extra amount. So then they've ended up taking a car loan over a 25 or 30 year period rather than a 3 or 5 year loan. Yeah, gotcha. So again, I suppose the positive with what we were thinking was the interest rate is 1% or whatever compared to 7%. Yeah. And like you say, so mathematically it would make sense to do that, but emotionally, over a smaller period, 4 years or whatever, instead of 30. So if you can get rid of that bit of loan as quick as possible, but most people just get comfortable. They're like, my minimum payment's $550. I'm just going to keep it at $550 or whatever, and they just stick at that. Yeah. And then, as I said, they end up paying a 5-year car loan over 25 years, and the interest is astronomical more. Yeah, and in the end, they pay more for it. Yeah. So if you can be smart about it, but again, that's why we say, generally speaking, if you can buy a car with cash, do that because it's easiest, simplest. But if you can be disciplined and smart enough to use your money in a smart way, leave the 20 grand in an offset account and make the extra payments and get rid of it, then it's a smart way to do it. But most people aren't disciplined enough to do that.
Lack of discipline.
Makes sense?
It does, actually, yes. That's a
So you're actually just adding the car
good
to
answer.
your mortgage, correct?
Yes.
But you want to pay that sum off in the same time as you would normally pay a car loan, not the mortgage time.
Yeah. So I'd say if you can avoid taking a car loan to buy a car, do that. Buy it with cash. Buy the car that you can afford with cash. But if you're going to do that, what you're suggesting, if you're disciplined enough and you stick to the plan, which most people don't, then that could be a good way to use your money.
I like it.
Any more questions?
Looks like no one else did their homework.
Yeah, I do.
Just lean into the mic there, cowboy.
Spit out your chewing tobacco and ask your question. How hungry are you? Be honest.
Yeah.
If you're licking tomato sauce out of the
Too
bowl.
busy watching internet.
Johnny Johns, did you see that the other night?
No.
Oh, he had the old tomato sauce sachet that fold in half.
Yeah.
He's sucking on
Who
it.
did?
Joey.
Joey's doing it.
Great minds
obviously.
think alike.
Joey's obviously doing it.
He's on the sauce. I'd say.
Yeah. Both pissheads.
Yeah.
Kyle Jagger.
Is now the time to invest when rates are so low in house, even though on the Gold Coast house prices through the roof? But while they're so low, should you take advantage of them elsewhere where the market's not so high?
The low interest rates, you mean?
So you're saying, is it a good time to invest in what?
Property.
Property.
So
Is
buy
it-
property elsewhere, not
Yeah,
Not on the
yeah.
Gold Coast necessarily.
Yeah, doesn't have to be on the Gold Coast, but
Buy a little interest property somewhere where it might be a growth area.
yeah,
So
if you can find the right area, obviously for the right price. Like,
yeah. So again, generally speaking, interest rates are low, which means money's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you a lot less to mortgage property. So yes, would be the first answer. Is like interest rates is a better time to buy a property and have a loan on it when interest rates are lower or higher, lower obviously. The second thing is saying, well, why is that area that you're talking about? Why hasn't it gone up in
cheap.
value?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if it hasn't gone up in value, there's a reason. Either no one knows about it, which is pretty impressive because of the internet, but everywhere else has gone up.
What's the internet?
Well, Fred. So then the thing is like, well, why hasn't it gone up in value? So then you just take emotion out of it and just apply the financials to it. Say, when's a good time to invest? Why are we investing for one? How much is it going to cost us? Choosing the right property, all that kind of stuff comes into it. So regardless of the fact that it's good time to buy or good time to loan money because it's interest low, then it's the next decision. Okay, because investing in property isn't always the best thing to do because it comes down to the property you buy, the area you buy, the return on the money, how much it's going to cost you, all that kind of stuff. So that would be my answer: is why is it cheap in that property or in that town? Why hasn't it gone up?
once we get on top of COVID,
Yeah.
the interest rate's going to go up.
My suspicion is that it will eventually go up at some stage.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, I don't know.
Well, it can't go down, can it?
It can. It can go to negative.
Yeah.
What?
Can it?
Yeah.
Is that actually a thing?
Yeah.
So they're paying you money?
Yep.
That's an actual thing?
No, they're not paying you money. You're paying them money. So if you have money in the bank, it costs you to have money in the bank.
Yeah.
So if you have money in savings, you got to pay the bank to leave the money in the bank account.
Oh.
And if you took
But
a
what
loan,
about
and
your
if you took a loan,
mortgage?
they would pay you to have the loan.
Oh, gotcha. So my, $500,000 mortgage,
Yep.
they would be paying me on that.
Yep.
But my savings account, I'm paying them on it.
Yep.
So it's best not to have money in the bank.
At that stage, if it's negative.
Yeah.
'Cause it costs you money.
Buried in the backyard is your financial
Because
advice.
if you think if it's negative, then you'd be better not to have it in the bank.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get you to loan money out
yeah.
and use the money to stimulate the economy.
Yeah.
It's a mind fuck when you think of going negative, but it's happened overseas.
Has it?
Yeah.
Where? Which country?
I think it was don't quote, it was like Sweden or Switzerland or
Sweden.
somewhere it went negative, and it's wild.
What do you think do you think, say we were to get, what are they asking, 80% COVID vaccinated in Australia by the end of the year?
If they're saying that if we get 80% vaccination rate, then no matter what happens cases wise, there will be no more lockdowns.
Yeah. So, and then everything are we talking 3 years before interest rates start going up?
No idea. couldn't tell you.
Hey, you're a fucking finance man.
You can't have a crystal ball.
What's your plan? He asked, we've all got our plans and where you're going to get married. Is the house in the future for you and Vin, or like, what's the plan?
Personally.
Or you're going to rent off Cole for the rest of your life.
Just remember you've got another 4 years on this lease.
Well, if rent keeps going up the rate it has been, I might have to move somewhere else. Kicking me out soon. Our plan is to build up our own businesses as much as possible.
Yep.
And then look at the option of buying a property, but probably more lean towards buying an investment property rather than buying our own property.
Buy an investment and rent.
And continue to rent here and buy an investment property or something, buy at a property that we could live in, but also could Airbnb a portion of it or make some aspect of that property an investment or a business.
And when it comes to kids, obviously, kids here now that you and Vin obviously both work out at home at times.
Yep.
Would you have this? Would you turn this into a kids room, or would you go bigger?
That's probably.
Stop putting his head to move out, mate.
Yeah.
No.
Talking to the landlord.
You make a mozzo when he moves.
Man might get a head.
You G'd me up before this. Put it in his head.
Move this motherfucker out.
I can't kick him out, he's me mate. But I need more.
It's working a treat.
No, there's something in the back of my head that's saying, well, obviously asking a question before, can you live in a unit while you have kids? And what I've seen and what I've talked to other people about, saying you're probably maybe okay for the first 12 months, maybe. Yeah. In a place like this. After that, you probably need to look at something just for sanity, and once the kids start walking and running around, you probably need a bit more space. So that's something in the back of my mind. But yeah, that's the thought process at the moment. Continue renting, and then look at buying an investment property or buying a place to live in that we can turn into.
Before kids, you reckon? Buy the investment for kids, or it doesn't really matter?
Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't bother you.
Depends if you start paying him to get advice.
It's free at the moment.
Is that on
that's what makes it for.
Too smart, my bro.
Yeah.
I'll give you free teaching advice too.
Yeah, on a serious note, though, Rossi,
Well,
Is that-
serious before.
is that a good thing? Because I have been told in the past to have you invest, don't ever live in the property you own because you can claim everything. Like, it's different for me because I can't work from home, but like you and Ben, you run your own businesses. I know you're working out of the office. I'm up the coast at the moment, but like you can claim stuff. Is it best? Like, but then on the other hand, I've been told, why would you pay someone else's mortgage when you can pay your own? Like,
So there's two things, and it's probably a bit of a bigger conversation around buying property. Do you live in it or do you rent it out?
yeah.
But generally speaking, like from a financial perspective, it makes sense, purely financial, take emotion and family and that out of it. It makes sense to live in the shittest, cheapest property you can and have as many.
Whoa. Hold the
This
phone.
place is a dump.
It's a shithole.
I've even provided the microphone.
Live in the cheapest, shittest place you possibly can and have as many investment properties that are making money, purely from a financial perspective. So in your case, obviously, if you lived here and rented out your property, you're getting $420 a week here. You could rent your house out for $850.
Yeah.
So if purely financial decision, which would be the better one to rent out? It would be the $850 and live here.
Yeah.
Purely financial.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, family, all that other stuff that comes into it. It's, okay, I need the space for my family. I need the space for my sanity, all the stuff you were talking about before. Need space for the kids, something to call my own, something I can mow my own lawn. I can paint the walls without having to ask the landlord about it. I can renovate it. I can do it and make it my own. So there's the emotional side of it. So purely financial, it's live in the cheapest, shittest place possible. If your rent's costing you $200 a week, live there with multiple roommates. Financial, great. It's going to be a great decision. Lifestyle's going to suck. So it's that constant balance. And that's probably the hardest thing in my job is to help people balance making lifestyle decisions and making financial decisions. Because if you want to be super rich and wealthy, sit at home every night, eat baked beans, watch Netflix. Never go out, never spend $1.
Been there.
Your lifestyle's going to suck, but you're going to be very wealthy if you're making lots of money. So it's how do you balance the two?
What is baked beans? They're good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. 2 minute noodles.
Kiwi baked beans.
2 minute noodles.
Because again, like we obviously we apply the three things of
Whiskey, anybody?
good debt, bad debt, shit debt.
Yeah.
Your mortgage, if you're not renting out an Airbnb, you're not renting out a spare room, and you're not claiming any of it as a tax deduction to work in, it's a bad debt because it's costing you money to live there. You're paying your own rent.
Yeah.
Better than paying someone else's rent, but you're still paying your own rent to live there.
You're going to the other one, I reckon, Mick.
So yeah, that's at a high level from a financial perspective, it'd be better to do that.
It all makes sense.
But there's obviously a deeper level to look at. There's a cheap mortgage and there's an expensive mortgage. So
I fancy.
Personally, I feel you have to be pretty well ahead.
We've just popped the fancy stuff. We could go for another 2 hours here as listeners.
This could get pear-shaped. You have to be pretty well ahead, Roscoe, to be able to get to a position with your family and that, so you can take the emotion in your family and still have a shit house. But at the end of the day, with a family, you need a house, don't you? If it's, do you know what I mean?
Or a very big unit.
Otherwise you're in each other's pockets.
Well, you need space. You just need space.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like because I feel like a lot of people either play the emotional side or they play the financial side. They don't kind of balance the two.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's better to pay your own mortgage than pay someone else's mortgage is like the common thing. It's like you need to buy your own home. It's like you do, but there's a big difference of your home costing you $1,000 in mortgage repayments versus your mortgage costing you $200 a week or something.
Yeah.
You're doing yours straight. For all the listeners, Michael's just drinking straight whiskey.
What do you find, Ross? Are most of your customers financially based or emotionally based?
Honestly, it's the hardest thing in my job to help people balance the two, because you go one way too far, and you lose your lifestyle, and you just focus on making money, saving as much as possible, not spending any of it, and investing all of it. Yeah, you'll be super wealthy. That's fantastic, but your lifestyle's going to suck.
You sacrifice your lifestyle.
Alternatively, you go too far on the lifestyle side. You have a great time. You're shouting, everyone drinks. You're never saving any money. Never investing any money. Lifestyle's going to be great. You're probably the best bloke at the party. But you're going to probably end up broke at some stage. So it's trying to find the balance. So I've seen people go too far one way. They work super hard. They're super successful, but have a bad marriage. Don't have any mates, and too far the other way. At some stage, I think, Kyle, maybe you don't know, maybe you're not the case, but you've had your job, but also working a second job as a PT. So I'd say that's self-employed. Burge, you've been employed, self-employed, a mixture of both. Still not really sure what you do at the moment.
Doesn't like to work.
Kyle, you've probably been saying that you've worked for someone and done your own thing. So what's your thought process on that? Like,
employment status.
Employment status. Yeah, you're a bit different. That I don't know how many teachers have a second job or a fifth job.
Yeah, and a fair few of my mates who I teach with do have a second source of income.
Because you don't work enough?
Because
is it all cash, mate? Like, without it sound like
depends if the ATO is watching or not.
He's not that big on their list.
No, but so a lot of
Will is not a client of mine, just to clarify.
A lot of my mates have a second source of income who I teach with, because one, the hours of the job allow you to. Yeah. You do have we work, technically school hours are 9 till 3, even though you're there earlier and you do leave a bit later, but it allows you to work in the morning or work in the afternoon if you wanted to, and earn a second source of income, whether that be, self-employed or working for someone else again as a secondary job. Specifically, a lot of the blokes that I work with do coaching outside of school. So yeah, a lot of them like coach sports at school. We have excellence programs at school, and then they also employed to coach, rep teams or high level stuff outside of school and get paid for that as well. So, for example, mates who are soccer coaches and are really good soccer players, played soccer when they were a bit younger, now coach soccer at school in the sporting environment at school. You also get paid to coach rep soccer outside of school. Fits in with their schedule. It's an extra 20, 30 grand a year.
But do you think do they do it and you do it to make extra money, or just because you want something to do and you
both passion and
profit
and pleasure.
Is it does the extra job satisfy you? Because at school, you just do that whole.
No, listen, the thing. Oh, thank you, Vincenzo.
So I think we're on topic of being self-employed teachers not doing anything at school, so they have heaps of hours to work a second job.
And it was both passion
And
pleasure,
and profit.
and profit.
Yeah.
The 3 Ps.
Kyle, what's your experience been of employee versus self-employed? Pros, cons, what you wish you knew more about, etc., etc. Continue.
I probably wish I knew more.
Sit. You need you on the mic there, buddy.
I wish I knew more about the business side of
Lean
things.
back a bit now.
I guess I'm probably only starting to learn it now.
Because you're the operations manager.
I'm a operations manager. Probably starting to learn about it a bit more now, and probably being a bit older, probably got more of an interest.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as all tradies do, they do cashies on the side and whatnot. But now you've got a family, it sort of doesn't really interest me.
I think it's interesting. Again, probably parents playing a big part of it, but your parents are self-employed. I assume.
And they are, mate. But it's sort of a bit different. It probably is a bit different, Rossi, because you could earn 100 grand in Charleville, self-employed, and you're killing it. But down here, you could earn 100 grand working for someone, and you're not sitting up till midnight sending invoices, and you're not working Saturday and Sundays. Like, my old man's worked daylight till dark. I'm 34 next week, so he's done that for 40 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And doesn't hate it, but he's over it now. He's 60 and he's done.
Yeah.
And for the last 10 years, like, he'd love a government job, but you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas down here, like we said before, 80 to 100 grand, I can earn that money, and I can go. Like, I'm not spending my Saturday and Sundays spending invoices or sending emails, chasing up money, or you know what I mean. And it's different though, I suppose, because we don't have to pay for a $4,000 holiday each year to come to the Gold Coast either when we live here. So my holidays, I'm probably going back home for a week where I get to stay with mum and dad, and I've got no, you know what I mean? I'm not paying to go to theme parks and that sort of stuff. So it is, I reckon it's a little bit different to running a business, how I thought businesses run, watching me mum and dad do it, compared to how businesses are run these days, especially trade businesses. Other businesses I can't really comment on. I'm talking trade specific. But it's definitely interesting in the last couple of years. And as you know, I've just done my contractors and I'm interested in it. But
I think you did Michael's contractors too, didn't you?
did a bit of it. But yeah, mate, it's so hard. Like, and I've got a good job. I enjoy my job. I work hard, but I've always said no matter if I was doing this job or another job, I'd always be working as hard as I am. Do you know what I mean? And especially now you've got a family, as Will knows, and you boys will know one day. It's sort of, you're always going to not take a step back, but you're going to look. Like, I love my weekends now, and I don't want to be crawling through roofs on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Birch? Because we've probably got obviously mates and everything. Few still self-employed, killing it, going well. Others are earning heaps of money working for someone else. Like, what's your experience been working for yourself?
Yeah, I've done that too since I got back from France, pretty much. So it's
what were you doing in France?
6 or 7 years.
Professional rugby league player.
Porn.
Pretty much the same thing, isn't it?
Sorry, Paige, if you're listening.
Not again.
Not again.
It's the Bitcoin all over it.
No, everything.
What's worse? I don't know.
Everything was. It's good. It has pros and cons. Like at the moment, I am a subcontract to a carpentry company full time, and it's good. Like I'm pretty much that. Like they give me the jobs, but I'm the only electrician that works for the company, so kind of get a bit of a free reign and kind of do whatever. I just get the jobs done and everything like that. But then I was working half like 50 with them, and then trying to get my own stuff, and I'm just bad at invoicing people because I find it awkward when I ask for money, even though I've done the work. I just find it awkward to go and ask people for like, oh, can you pay me this money? This is what an electrician's worth. But I feel like at the same time, it's like, oh, fuck, it's a lot of money. But that's just, it is what it is. That's the going rate. But you've got to be pretty stern about it and just say, listen, this is the going rate. I'm still bad with it when I do.
That's what
when I do cashies for like friends of friends. Like, he's not my mate, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck, got to like, look after him. Where really you don't have to look after him. He's not your mate. You know what I mean? But
I think, honestly, that's probably up there with one of the hardest things in being in business or just dealing with money in general.
Yeah.
I always think about it as like, well, what would they pay someone else to do it?
Yeah, exactly. And I still like, I say that to myself all the time, and then when it comes to going and asking for money, I'm like, fuck. I'm like kind of like shivering going and asking for money. I don't know why, but it's just something that I've always been like that. Like when it comes to asking people for money, like I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it at all. But that, like I'm the one that's crawled around your roof. I'm the one that's done all the work, but still don't feel comfortable. And that's probably the bit I hate about being self-employed is talking money with people. I'd rather do the work and then them just give me the money, but I don't.
What about if they just gave you
talk-
the money and not do the work? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. No, like a barter, like we're not bartering, like coming.
Have you been over in Bali working?
Yeah.
I'll do the work and you got to let me sleep with your wife.
That's the worst part about it, being self-employed. But then,
I see it a lot with mates and clients and stuff that are tradies as well. That they're great at being the tradie, whatever that trade is, electrician, plumber, carpentry, whatever. Like they're fantastic at that. But then it's all the other stuff that they have to put the business hat on, that Kyle business hat, not the hard hat. And then it's all the other stuff that they either didn't learn about, they don't know about, or no one's taught them, but have to deal with it. It's like takes up more than 50% of the job.
100%. And like those things you still learn.
Yeah.
Like it's probably been like 7 years that really I've been kind of working on my own, and you still learn. I'm still learning like stuff now that like, geez, if I knew that 7 years ago, but I was no way as confident as I am now. Obviously, one, in doing the work, and two, dealing with people. You get way more confident dealing with people now. Like I don't have a problem dealing with people.
It's probably hard though, like where you're in the middle, where you're not fully fledged. And I was like this to you before, Ross, where you're not 100% run your own business.
Yeah.
And you're still working with someone, and you're still doing a bit on the side. Because then when you're still doing a bit on the side, the people you work for, they know you're just doing a bit on the side, so they think, I'll get it a bit cheaper, and you know that they're thinking they'll get it a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
So then they say, how much are you? And you go, you're exactly like me. You go, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it next week. I'll have to go home and sort it out. And then 2 weeks comes around, and you think, I haven't heard from them. Then I think, fuck, I've left it too long to ring. I'm like,
just do it from the
Is
start.
it more than $50? Then you got to chase them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends who he is.
Depends if you travel, booked accommodation.
Did you give them the toaster at their engagement party?
Every job you walk into, take a toaster.
But I think that's like a common misconception that anyone that's running their own business is more successful than someone that's working for someone.
Yeah, no, that's 100%.
Like I reckon that's the common thing I hear. Like, oh, you run your own business, you're killing it.
Do you think that's true?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's case by case.
I always thought that until probably the last
So,
year or two.
like you said, there's so many like hidden costs. Like, for instance, with me, like the insurances and stuff that come with like one running your own business. There's just obviously you got your private insurance. I got tool insurance. I got car insurance. Like everything's under like a work thing. Where it's really, if you work for someone, there's 3 or 4 insurances that you just cut out straight away. You know, we might not need to, but no, me having had my tools stolen 2 or 3 times.
Lock the toolbox.
Like you just need like the insurances that come with it. It's not just like, oh, you know, this is, oh wow, he's earning all this money. It's like the tools that you have to go out and buy and all the gear and everything like that. Like the outlay cost is pretty high when you run your own business.
Yeah, I think again it's coming back to that property decision. It's like financial versus lifestyle. You work for someone else, you don't have to risk, you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to be up at night doing anything. You may or may not earn as much, but you could have a better lifestyle in some cases. But again, if you run your own show, you could potentially earn more. Not always the case, but potentially earn more. But there's a lot more risk, a lot more other shit that you don't see behind the
I
scenes.
wish I knew more about investing and stuff when you're younger. When you're earning as a tradie, well, earning good money as apprentices. So like you could have invested money or
instead of pissing up against the wall.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is
instead of
what happened.
Instead of doing laps around Melbourne's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Up the creek pokey room.
Guilty.
When you thought, oh, I got money.
Final wrap-up question. Tomorrow, that I like to ask everyone. Tomorrow you win $1 million. What's the first thing you do and what's the first thing you buy?
First thing I do is ring you and say, I've won $1 million. What do I do with it?
Your rent's free for the next 3 years.
The first thing I'll buy is acreage.
Where?
My missus won't move back to Charleville.
He's what you buy for in Charleville
For good reason.
Mate, it'll have to be in the valley. I'll buy in the valley. $1 million, they won't give me a block out there, so I don't know.
Half a block.
Yeah.
Sell this.
Well, if we all,
20.
if four of us win, there's 4 million. We can go and buy 100 acres out there and have.
Or a brewery.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
No.
What's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you buy?
So I'd get another property, another house,
Another
another
house.
property
To live in or rent out?
to rent out.
And stay in your property.
Yeah, we love ours. We'd rent our house too. That'd be part of the $1 million.
Yep.
So buy somewhere for whatever 900.
100 grand on yours.
Spend 100 on ours. We've already got big plans for ours. Yeah,
100 grand big plans.
probably 200 grand big plans. 250.
So Renault's the first thing you
Doing it
buy?
yourself.
call the blokes that don't charge you anything.
Definitely not doing it myself.
Yeah.
Birch?
Virgil doesn't
First
get a
thing you
call.
do.
First thing I do is, depending on if it's the COVID times or not, I'd love to do like I'd still love to do a 6 month or a year trip to around the world, the places I haven't been, and there's not many pages he hasn't been, but I'd love to like put, even if you had a kid or something, I'd love to put life on hold for a year.
Yep.
And then go traveling and do that might cost like, say there's 100 grand of $1 million. I put 100 grand aside and I'd take me and Paige and go around the world and go to the places we haven't been and do whatever we want and live, enjoy life for a year before we have to settle down and before we had a kid, if I wanted tomorrow.
It's taken 2 hours, 19 minutes and 30 seconds before you said something that Paige is happy with. so Paige, I hope you're still listening. I hope you're still tuned in.
Sleep on the couch and just woke up.
I hope you're still tuned in because the best was last.
She just switched off.
What a sweetheart.
She switched off at the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd do with it. That would be my thing. I'd love to do a year and then that 900 I'll figure that out later. But
If it was COVID times, would you travel to Australia?
yeah, okay, 100%. Yeah, but my first thing is I'd like to go now, like overseas, and do I've always wanted to do the Running with Bulls or the Oktoberfest and things that I didn't get the opportunity to do, like the big things. I'd love to go and do all that stuff and visit. I lived in France and kind of only went to Barcelona and Portugal. Didn't really go to many other places, but I'd love to go, see it all, and then when I'm older, travel to Australia. Yeah. Charles will be on the list, don't worry.
Attaboy.
It's not up there next to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah, what would
Yeah,
you
what'd
do?
you do?
I think travel would be, it's probably the same thing. Take a fair chunk of it and travel. And then
How much towards the wedding, Ross?
how much? 20 grand?
Would you give Vin a dream wedding, or would you still try and say you
200.
don't need those
Would you
flowers?
say, would you say here's a hungy?
You've got 5 grand for flowers, not 30.
Would you say here's a hungy? You organise it.
Yep.
I'll be there.
Buy a dress.
Yep. Another 100 for the wedding. Yeah, probably. It'd be hard. Jeez, that'd be a hard one.
You'd have some pressure on you.
Not dropping money on the wedding.
Yeah.
Flick some money to the wedding, take some money to travel, and then chuck the rest probably out Crump Valley.
I'll go halves in the block if you want.
Yep.
A mil, that'd at least get you a deposit.
Hmm.
Just pay the rest off. You're loaded anyway. Operations manager.
Oh, they pay him.
The operations manager.
The operations manager.
Any final words of wisdom?
Be fast.
Die young.
Die old.
Good shit.
Nice, boys.
Nice work, guys.
Oh, take the headphones off.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this episode of More Than Money, make sure that you subscribe to keep up to date with all of the latest episodes. And feel free to like, comment, and share with a friend.